how to approach the pain of the physical body actually on the level of the physical body. Perception can lead our awareness to that space, to that place where it originates. Sometimes we don't really know where it originates. We feel like the pain is everywhere, or it's in many places, it stretches out or it projects. There are different types of pain, but I kind of realized during my praxis that people, they are not very used to observe themselves. And I think this is very important when we want to anyhow approach that the trouble we have. We should try to figure out what's going on. And oftentimes, if I ask my patients, where do you have this pain? Can you show me with your one finger, or just tell me where it is? So many people they are just not able to tell, or they just show like, oh, everywhere here. Of course, there is some pain which is like spread out, but I still think there is usually some epicenter, some trigger point. There can be more of them, but there are some places which are like the epicenter. It's the place where it's like the biggest tension. It's the highest contraction of the system. There is the highest density of the energy, and that is, I would say, that is the first thing, to observe where the pain is, to observe where is the highest, the most condensed place in our body, and just look for the first one. Where is the first place where your mind goes? Look for it and find a place. Find a place where it hurts the most. I would say this is the most important part. And from there, we can start approaching. So we already go with our awareness, with our observation in that space, in that actual physical place where it hurts the most. And I already talked about the connection of the breath, of the awareness, of the touch, and actually of the vibration or the spoken word or some kind of affirmation. It doesn't really matter if it's affirmation or just the vibration, but there is some other topic. But this time I would like to pick the touch and somehow expand this one tool, which is the touch. And the touch can be done with our hands, and it can be done also with some kind of exercise, with some kind of work with the system, with the musculoskeletal system. So we can use our hand, our fingers, to touch where the pain is, and we can use some kind of movement or some kind of stretching to actually contact the muscle or the trigger point, trigger band, or whatever it is. There is some kind of fascial contraction. So first of all, I would use my hand. If I can reach the place, I would use my hand. I had quite big pain last months, years. But I work with that the way I talk about it, so it diminished quite quite a bit, and but there is still some pain left. So right now I have the pain around here. I kind of feel that there is my rib a little bit subluxated from my costosternal joint. It could be like the fourth rib or something like that on the left side. So I touch it. And I work with that from the outside, and I kind of help it from the inside with the push of my breath. And this is this particular situation. This is my concrete situation that I can do it this way. And when I push here, it hurts in the back also. I'll show you where the rib goes towards my spine, and where there is some connection of the rib and the vertebral column where with the vertebra. And so when I push here, I feel it hurts there also. And I work with that. There are different possibilities how to touch. We can touch with the pressure. We can touch and do some kind of massage. We can, when we stay with it and we loosen the actual tension around this area, at some point we even can somehow manipulate. We can do some kind of osteopathy, like auto osteopathy, and sometimes it feels that we just found the right place. It's something like many people are used to crack their neck. This is not particularly healthy, but everyone feels that there is some misalignment, and at the moment where they crack their neck, then it just aligned at the moment. But the thing is that it doesn't stay, because if you don't work with the tension of your fascias and tension of your muscles and tendons and ligaments, then it drags back to the position where it was before. So it can be helpful to manipulate somehow osteopathically, but we need to do it very carefully. And I don't think it's necessary really to do it the hard way. It just doesn't stay really. So in my opinion, it's better to do it somehow smoother and work with that for a longer period of time, so you can actually change the setting there. But anyways, this is the first. We can push, we can do some kind of massage, we can do some kind of movement to help it. And as I said, we can breathe, and from inside we can do the massage, like from inside and outside at the same time. And what I think what's very important, and it's something what doesn't make any sense in the conventional medicine, that the body we divide in some specific parts, And if you go often to your orthopedic doctor, at least in Czech Republic, if you go to your orthopedic doctor and you say, I have pain in my back, he's going to tell you, oh, sorry, we don't care. We don't take care about, and we don't care, but we don't take care about the spine or the back. That belongs to the neurologist. So the patient goes to the neurologist, and the neurologist examines the spinal cord, examine the roots of the nerves, and if they don't recognize there is an irritation or deficit in the sensomotoric functions, then they just say, well, there is nothing to do neurologically with your stuff. And this patient is suddenly in the vacuum. There is no one really who wants to do anything with that. Even more sad and funny situation is where there is in the back we have these SI joints. It's like where our sacral bone connects to the pelvis itself. And there are two joints which have just a slight movement in them, but they are quite important for the whole structure and for the sustenance of the trunk on our legs. And so many people have their pain in these SI joints. And this is like the craziest place. Orthopedic doctors, we kind of accept that pelvis is ours, but the vertebral column, it belongs to neurologists. So those SI joints, they don't belong to anyone. So if you have pain in your SI joints, you're screwed. So what I want to say is that if we divide it this way, that the vertebral column doesn't have what to do with the pain of our shoulder or something, then it's like vicious circle and dead end. It doesn't make any sense. If you realize how you move, the whole movement starts from the vertebral column, and it goes actually with the movement of your ribs sideways to the periphery. So if you want to do something for your health, like in the kind of, I would call it biodynamic way, that you don't really focus on the problem, but you focus on the health and on the healthy patterns, then just start with your spine. Feel your spine, feel the midline, and just try to move. Feel the spine being kind of like a serpent which just wants to crawl, like the wave or something. Imagine that and try to just move your spine. We don't need very specific exercises. We can use very easy and simple ones to approach the basics. We need to find something what everyone can do. So start with that. Start with the movement of your spine. Because when you imagine your spine working this way, moving around, like in some kind of eight figures, then you move your whole rib cage the same way. And if you move your rib cage, then you move your all the joints around here and around the spinal cord, around the vertebral column. And I think this is a good start. What I also like, and what I think is quite nice exercise actually for the SI joints. You sit somewhere on your chair and realize your ischiatic bones. There is something what we call tubera ischiadica. You're sitting on those two bones and try to somehow kind of walk with those bones on the chair, and just move from one side to another. That is amazing balancing technique, because often we have our problems because we sit on or we stand on one side more than on the other one, and we need to balance this, because when we stand more on this one side, so much more weight goes through this SI joint. The weight of the whole trunk, of the whole body, is kind of shifted to the side, and it goes to the one leg, and this is SI joint is overloaded. So we can do it when we are standing also, but then we involve the joints of the legs, and it makes it a little bit more difficult, and we don't think about it that much. But anytime when you're sitting in front of your computer doing any job you do, just try to remember this, that maybe you're just leaning to one side and it actually hurts on this side because everything is compressed here. So at this moment you can feel, you can realize that you're sitting more on this bone on the left side. So try to find the midline, trying to find the neutral posture. And what I think what is really nice, not to do it statically, because when you do it statically, and you don't use your system. So if you find this place, it's okay. It's the first step. But you don't need to find it this way. You don't need to find the exact position. But let's go from one side to another one. Just walk on your ischiatic tubercles. And feel how it goes, how the pressure switches from one side to another, and it goes through your SI joints up there along your spine, and it somehow balances also the tension of the muscles which are along your spine. So do this. This is nice, really nice. And when you start with that, you can move your spine up there, as we talked about it before. So start it from the bottom, from your pelvic floor, kind of, and let it rise up along your spine, with your spine towards your occiput, towards your head. And you can just do it how you feel. That's the best what you can do, because we need to do it as relaxed as possible. I talked about it in some other video. That's very important, to do the movement relaxed. I call it remove the pain. Check it somewhere on this channel also. But what I think that is very important, try to stay relaxed and do the movement. So this is with the spine. So you can approach the pain also this way, that you just move around the pain and work with that. Because when, as I told you, I feel the pain around this joint, and so I try to loosen it. I try to make it soft, make it work properly, and I do what I can. I think it doesn't make much sense to try to understand all the principles and to do all the exercises. We need to really make it simple. So touch, move, stretch. If you're able to touch the place where is your pain, just do it. You don't even have to push. It's enough to just just lay down your hand on the place and stay with it. Stay with your awareness, with the pain, and breathe. I will see that if you give it your attention, if you give it your intention, that it's gonna transform, it's gonna change. That's how it works. It's just majority of our illnesses are just that we ignore it, or we kind of escape from it, or fight it. It doesn't matter. There are different tools what we do with it, but what we truly need to do is to observe it, to listen to it, to work with it. That's what makes it. What can it change it? What can transform, and how we can actually learn from this condition we have. So we can touch, we can move, and sometimes we just don't have the possibility to touch it in a way that actually helps, or actually we are not able to connect to the actual space. But what we can do, we can find the position where we stretch it actually. Many people have the problem around their shoulder blade, or they even say that the pain is kind of under the shoulder blade, and it's very difficult to approach it. Even any therapist, the massagist, physiotherapist, osteopaths, and so on, it's quite difficult to approach this space, which is under the scapula. There is like the subscapularis muscle, and there are rhomboid muscles around the levator scapulae, and those can be actually touched. But for example, the subscapularis, it's impossible. We cannot touch it. That's too deep. We cannot fit our hand below the shoulder blade. So what we can do, we can find a position where we stretch it. For example, what I advise my patients when they have this kind of problem, I advise them to find the the bands, the rubber bands you use for some kind of exercise. Just hang them somewhere and hold it, or even not even hold it. You can just wrap it around your wrist, and it's like that, and it hangs up, and you can just hold it, and from there you kind of lean. It needs to be strong enough to hold your weight, but when you do it, you can really lean down. You can kind of lie on your side, and with the movement of the rubber band, it kind of it stretches a little bit and contracts again. And when you do this, it stretches and goes back. And this is, and you need also, again, you need to relax. You need to switch off the tension as much as possible and let it pump, let it. It happens by itself, or with very, very little effort. It just happens that it stretches and contracts. And when you let it do this for you, it amazingly stretches those muscles around the scapula, which are very difficult to approach by yourself with any other tool. So this everyone can use. What I like to use, but it's a little bit difficult to do for many people who are not that flexible or are too deep in their pain. It might be a little bit difficult, but I really like this, that I work with my body that way, that I find the actual position of my body where that specific muscle is stretched. So it might mean that if the pain is around here, around the shoulder blade, I need to do some crazy stuff lying on my shoulder and looking for the actual position. You need to play with it. That's what you need to do, because without figuring it out, it just doesn't happen. So you need to go there and look for it. Look for the actual position where it stretches. And when you find it, that's the moment where you have to stay with it. It doesn't work when you just touch it and go, or if you are in tension. It's like if you know yoga a little bit, then if you are in some kind of asana, you need to stay concentrated. You need to stay calm. You work with your breath. You work with your awareness to concentrate and to unite your mind, your body, your soul, your heart, your spirit, everything in one being. And you use those positions, which are quite uncomfortable, but you do it because it pushes your limits. And when you move this way, you are able to get to incredible positions. I don't do yoga that much. I know a little bit, but the principle is the same. The principle is that you need to concentrate. You need to stay calm, stay still, stay relaxed before you can move further. And if you find this balanced state in that position where your pain actually hurts even more than before, but you work with it, you contact it. The contact is the most important part. Contact your pain. And if you stay with that, if you focus your awareness, if you focus your touch or stretch or whatever approach, the breath you use to contact with that, then if you give it enough time, it starts to transform. But you need to do it. You need to do the work. It doesn't happen by itself. You need to do it. And there are different approaches, different techniques, different modalities. But what is the most important, to find something what we can do for ourselves, where we don't need anyone to help us. And we might need help sometimes, but we should learn how to do it for ourselves, to be independent, to maintain our health anytime or all the time. I'll try to show you the example of the position I did when I had this bigger pain in my shoulder. So I actually found that there was the pain around here. So I needed to find a position that looked like this. Need to focus, I need to concentrate, I need to relax, I need to use my breath. I breathe into that position, into that space. And then I move a little bit more. I found another stretch. And I try to breathe through it again. As in yoga, as I said, where you are in the asana, the point of the asanas is to be at peace with whatever we do. When we push, when we try to fight it, it doesn't work. We need to find the balance at the moment, at the situation we are in. And that's how we approach the pain also. And I want to show you one more exercise